You are listening to the CADDle Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your cheery and handsome host, and with me is my partner.
It's Rocco, and you know, I gotta say, I every time I sit here and I try to think of all these fantastic adjectives to describe me, just to avoid the joke, but
Not gonna happen. You're getting a joke anyway, you know that. There's no way. Not only are you getting a joke today, but I took your advice. I got my little drum beat for the end. So we're going to be all set here.
Oh,
Ready?
no.
Yeah, no. Wait, listen, you were right. They're terrible jokes, so I have to add in the ba-dum-bum at the end. So I'm doing that. I've got it right here. So, all right. So ready for your joke of the week then?
We're ready.
We're ready. Okay. So there are three engineers, right? And they sit down and they're talking about God. And they're talking about what kind of engineer was God when he designed the human being. Right? And the first one goes, oh, it's easy. God was a mechanical engineer. Just look at all the joints that he put in on the human body. And the second one goes, no, that's not right. God was an electrical engineer, right? Just look at the nervous system. Look at the millions of electrical synapses and connections. And the last one just stands up and goes, you're both wrong. God was a civil engineer. Who else would be silly enough to put a toxic waste pipeline right through a recreational area? There you go. But see, that wasn't so bad.
That was actually pretty good.
There you go. Oh, goodness. So let's get into today's topic. What are we talking about? So today we're talking about how to collaborate and communicate with Bluebeam Studio. And that's a real big thing. Look, communication and collaboration and file sharing and tracking changes, right? These are kind of the bread and butter of the modern design build world, right? With the advent of more and more advanced construction technologies, it becomes harder to achieve those goals in any simple way. I literally get calls every single day from clients who are looking to find better ways to control their files and their communications because, we're all struggling across a dozen different softwares when we're working with clients and partners, right? And then the architect's drawings are in Dropbox, and all the civil work is on Google Drive, and the GC needs all his files that are just PDFs because he doesn't have CAD. And there are a million emails, right, bouncing back and forth on what's been changed and where do I find this and how do I get to that. It's a really common problem. And today I want to talk about a tool that can help alleviate all of those headaches. And it's one that most of you guys listening already have. It's Bluebeam Review. And in particular, I want to talk about a section of Bluebeam Review, which is called Bluebeam Studio. And Bluebeam Studio is part of every single review purchase. But there are still a lot of people out there who are not using it because either they're not aware of Studio or they don't really understand what it actually does. So, Rocco, how many discussions would you say we have with clients around Studio? And how many folks are surprised by what it can do when we show it to them?
Yeah, it comes up all the time because collaboration is a huge part of the way that a lot of people work. I mean, everybody wants to become more efficient at how they work, and particularly now where you have hybrid environments and who's in the field, who's in the office, who's at home.
Who's on first? What's on second? What? No, sorry. I don't know. Third base. Sorry, had to be done. I apologize.
Yeah, so it's a huge part, and look, not everybody's using Studio. I'll be honest with you, but that's why we're here to talk about it, to hopefully get more people to use it. But the people that are using it are hugely impressed with it and love the part of it. And Jim's going to get into it, but it's free if you own Bluebeam, or if you don't own Bluebeam, it's free. So
it's amazing, right? Can't ask for a better price point than that. So look, at its core, the Studio it's a cloud-based file hosting system, right? And I think that's that's actually where the disconnect starts. People look at it and they think, oh, yeah, I'm already struggling with SharePoint and Dropbox and Google Drive and a dozen other cloud services. Last thing I need is another one. And I understand the reaction. But I think it's missing the underlying power of Studio, which is to eliminate all the others and keep everything hosted in one location so the entire world is accessing and working off of one file that's the correct version of that file, no matter where they're connecting from. Now, I know you guys have heard that same BS line from every cloud system salesperson, but Studio really is different, right? For three reasons. First, like Rocco pointed out, it's free, unlimited file storage, right? So you can host your entire server in the cloud if you want, and it costs nothing, right? Second, you can invite people to access, right? They can mark up files in Studio, do just about anything you want them to, even when they do not have a Bluebeam license. Right? That means that anyone can work with Studio files, right? So getting all of your stakeholders to work off of one system is a lot easier, okay? And lastly, Studio incorporates a concept called sessions, right? Which lets you have multiple people working on the same files at the same time, 24/7, 365, from anywhere in the world, right? So take a minute and think about that. You can start to see, right, what field staff are marking up right on the job site as you're sitting in your office, right? And the owner of the site, who's on another continent, right, is in that too, and he's approving the changes as you all watch them come in on the exact same file. Right? And I'm going to get into all of those features in more detail during today's show, right? But Rocco, which of those kind of three features appeal most to our clients when we show them the Bluebeam Studio?
Well, I think it's all of the above, but the biggest one is the last one, just the collaboration component and the ease of collaboration.
Yeah, and so much of what we have to do nowadays is just that, right? Collaborating, talking to people, showing them what we're trying to do, where are the problems, what are our proposed fixes for those problems, and being able to track and formulate it and get approvals in real time instead of emailing and waiting 3 or 4 days. So it really is the best part of it. I'm a huge fan of the sessions. All right, so folks, let me stress again here. Right, I'm going to repeat it. Right, the Bluebeam Studio costs nothing. It comes with even the most basic review license. Doesn't matter which version of review you have Studio. All you have to do is give Studio an email and a password, and you're set to go. That's it. Nothing else to it. The file hosting side of Studio, all right, which is actually called Studio Projects. It's like most other cloud hosting services, right? It will take files of any kind, right? It lets you easily upload and download individual files or whole projects, project directories in one click. It's easy, right? But Studio has additional benefits in that it also works as a simplified document management system, right? It has check-in and check-out processes and so on to make sure that everyone's working on only one version of a file at any time, right? It even keeps copies of every file that you edit so that you can view or even revert back to older versions of the file as needed, all right? In most cloud-based systems, right, even when that feature is available, not all of them have that, your IT people scream at you for that, right? Because, keeping 50 versions of, say, a Revit file, man, that takes up a ton of storage space that your IT guys are either going to have to back up or they're paying massive storage fees for. Because Studio is free, unlimited storage, you can keep 1,000 old versions of any file. And it's all hosted and backed up by Bluebeam, and it costs you nothing, right? That unlimited storage feature is vital to a lot of clients here that we work with at Zentech. I have like a dozen or more who quite literally use Studio as their primary working server. It's particularly big for contractors, right, who are dealing with hundreds of bids and projects and as-builts and submittals for multiple clients and multiple jobs. Studio has a really simple interface, and everyone can access their files with no problem, you know? Oh, and you know what? And because I know that somebody out there is wondering, the answer is yes. Yes, Bluebeam Studio has a full set of security and control features, right? Even down to folder level access controls to make sure that all of your files are secure, right? So you don't have to worry about that. You can control, what people can see and edit, what they shouldn't. You can hide things from certain, groups, right? You even get the ability in Studio to send people links to specific files, right? Either, you can send it to them read only or with full editing rights, whichever you want, just so that you don't have to worry about adding everybody on the planet to your security controls, right? You can just, quick one-off a link to the single file that you need, Joe Contractor to look at, and you're done, right? You just email him that link to that one file, and he doesn't get to the whole project, just that single file. And then you can even, cancel or break that link whenever you like it, right? So if you decide not to work with the guy and you don't want him accessing the file anymore, you just say, okay, stop the link from working, and it doesn't work for him anymore. And all of those features for free, all right? Look, and I think that, that alone should make you guys look deep into your studio system, right? But there are still two other points that I want to discuss today about Bluebeam Studio. And I'm going to get into those after a quick break to hear from today's sponsors. So stand by, folks. We'll be back in a minute with more of the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's CADDle Call podcast is being sponsored by both Rocco and I. Zentech, we want to talk to you guys about our Bluebeam Review Toolset Kickstarter program. Look, you guys fight with trying to get reliable, repeatable quantity takeoff and markup items from your Bluebeam software, right? Are you guys frustrated having to go in and change and modify the display properties of every single item that you create inside a review? Well, that's what we're here to help you guys with the Kickstarter program. We give you tools that you need built to your specifications at an affordable fixed cost. You can fully develop tool sets for any industry. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what you do. We can help you work better with Bluebeam custom tools. So Rocco, why don't you tell folks how they get info on our Kickstarter program?
Yeah, the big thing is it is, like you said, Jim, it's one fixed price. So it's $29.95. And we can help you to prove to your management what
is it $29.95?
No, Jim, it's $2,995.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Oh, of course. So hit up our website, check out the details. We'd be happy to talk to you. It's zentechconsultants.net. Reach out to us, sales@zentechconsultants.net, or give us a ring, 866-824-4459.
All right, the Bluebeam Review Toolset Kickstarter program. Everything you guys need to be Bluebeam experts. All right, everybody, welcome back to the CADDle Call podcast. We're talking about Bluebeam Studio, and the next feature that I wanted to hit on here is the fact that anyone you invite can work with your studio files, whether or not they have a Bluebeam license. Okay, so that's important, right? Bluebeam, in general, it's available to anybody as a free 30-day demo with all of its tools active and working. Anybody can download it for free for 30 days. After 30 days, Bluebeam reverts into what they call view mode, right? Which means it works as a free PDF viewer. It doesn't stop working. You just, all the major markup tools go out. All right, so it acts just like the free Adobe Reader that we all get on most new computers. Now that means, right, that like I said, all the markup and the measuring tools and so on are locked out for people who don't have a license. All right, now, the beauty of Studio, right, is that when you invite people to work on your files, right, and this is particularly true in a studio session, which we'll talk about in a little bit, when you invite people into your studio, all of the tools become active for them. They get to use your license to mark up and edit your Bluebeam files, right? Even when they're not in a session, the standard studio project system for file hosting, right, is going to let them open and read and even do basic measurements, right, areas and volumes and lengths on any of your files, right, using your licensing, right? And also don't forget, Studio Projects hosts any type of file. Doesn't matter what the extension is, right? So If you put an Excel workbook out there and somebody double clicks on that workbook from one of your folders, it's going to launch Excel on their computer, open that file, and then as they work on it and they save it, all of those saves are going to go back to your studio account, right? So that all of the edits are being kept in a central location across multiple companies, multiple locations, without your end users and your subs and partners doing anything other than just open the file from Studio, do the work, and save it. Okay, that's huge. So, Rocco, how important is it for our clients to be able to share files of any types, right? Even with people who don't even hold a Bluebeam license?
Oh yeah, it's important. I mean, and going back to your point, it's like, what are people doing now? They're using so many different, different options from Dropbox to Google to this and that, and not, all this stuff costs money too. Dropbox isn't free, right? Or it's free up to a certain point. So now you're having to pay to partake in this product and that product and this product, depending upon who you're working with. So it's definitely important.
And and to go through Rocco saying, right, one of the things that comes up a lot is you can give, the engineer or the architect or the GC, whoever you're working with, the contractors, you can give them access to your folders where they can actually upload their files into your studio account. So everybody on the job is working collaboratively from that one location, right? And you can always just have them update their latest files, into that. It's a great setup. So look, the third big feature in Studio, I touched on earlier, it's the concept of sessions. Okay, so essentially, what a session does is it's very similar to the checkout process on the project side that we talked about earlier, right? Where you check a drawing out or a file out to somebody so that only one person can edit it. The difference is that instead of checking a file out to one single person for editing, it checks the files out to a group of people, right? So all of them can edit the files at the same time. It's a way of collaborating across any distance instantaneously, right? Without having to do, screen shares or set up go-to meetings or use the Zoom and the Teams, right? All those meeting things that we all hate doing. So let me put this kind of into perspective for you, right? Up to 500, and yes, you heard that number right, 500 people can access the same set of files all at the same time and watch everyone else's markups and comments appear on their screens in real time. Okay? And best of all, only one license, yours as the host, right, is needed for that. 499 people get full and complete access to every file and every single Bluebeam tool as long as they're connected to a session being hosted by your license, right? Talk about, you want a way to get easy buy-in from your working partners? Wait, they get to use Bluebeam and all of its tools on your projects without having to buy or install anything themselves? Yeah, they're totally in for that. Free is a powerful motivator for folks. And look, that collaboration part, right? It's a really, really powerful feature, right? But I will be honest with you guys, and I'm gonna tell you that it is actually, to my mind, the most minor part of working in studio sessions. Think about that. That's the nothing throwaway part. For me, the real power lies in the fact that you can keep sessions running literally forever. Right? And in other words, right, you can start a session with all the documents on your job the day you kick off the project. And you can keep that session running across years until final closeout of the project. That way, every single markup, every single comment, every reply or update or revision that occurs on your project, on every document, is being tracked. Right? One of the real powerful things about Studio is that it will track the date, the time, and the person who makes every single modification to any document in your sessions. And they can't be removed or deleted. That record's permanent. Right? And that means that you now have full accountability for who said or did what. Right? And a central place for you're communicating your changes and your RFIs and any other information that you need. Studio sessions, they let people change the status of items, all right? So that you can see and set, when things are on back order, when they've been installed, when they've been completed, right? Who verified those states and when did they do that, right? And those states are fully customizable to your own workflow, right? And they're usable by everybody in the session. So you can actually build and say, look, these are the keystone points that I need to track for these type of objects. You build that list and people can just apply it as they do the work, right? And then, everybody can even reply back to changes, right? So right in line, right in Bluebeam, they can reply. So instead of 100 emails and a dozen calls that are getting missed and lost and dropped and people weren't CC'd, you can put a threaded text chain, right? Just like you do on your phone. You put a threaded text for every single item in your documents, explaining why everything happened the way it did, and that is a permanent record. So that you can go back and look at, why did we do this 4 years ago when we first kicked off this job? Oh, here's why. Here's the conversation. It's right there in the PDFs inside of Bluebeam. It's amazing to me. So Rocco, let's do this, right? So all the people who are listening, right, who want to get Bluebeam and start using Studio for their companies, right? How do they go about making that happen, and how they can get themselves, trained and up to speed on using Studio?
Yeah, so of course we sell and support and do training on Bluebeam at all levels. We offer beginner through to advanced level classes, online training, private classes, public classes, on-demand courses. Bluebeam itself is sold as a perpetual license or an open license. So the perpetuals, you buy it once, you own it for life. You have the option of annual maintenance from year to year, and or the open license is an annual network license that gets deployed across your company network. So perpetuals range in cost from $349 for Bluebeam Review Standard, all the way up to $599 to Bluebeam Review Extreme, with Bluebeam Review CAD right in the middle at I think it's $449 per license. And then annual maintenance ranges from $99 to $119 a year, depending upon the version. So it's hugely affordable. It's not a very expensive tool, and it's it's highly used, throughout the architecture, engineering, construction field, and particularly in construction.
See, now you all know why Rocco is my partner. I ask him general questions. He gives me, well, I don't know, maybe. It's typical everybody. I ask him about sales. He goes on for 20 minutes and knows every price point, every discount, everything you can do. That's why he's my partner. He makes me the money. Look, folks, as I am sure that everybody who listens to the show knows by now, and if you didn't, you certainly know by this point in this podcast, I am a huge, huge Bluebeam fan. Everything from... Huge. From customizable tools, which, by the way, those are all, any custom tools you make, those are all fully usable by people inside a studio. All right. From custom tools all the way to project control dashboards and full-blown estimating. Bluebeam is the most versatile software I've ever seen. Really, there's a reason why so many people in the design build world live and die with Bluebeam. It literally does almost anything that you can think of. And it's a very simple user interface, very easy for anybody to learn in just an hour or two. And like Rocco was saying, it only costs a few $100s, right? And when you throw in the unlimited storage capacity and all of the amazing features of Studio, right, which I probably touched on about 20% of its functionality here in this podcast today, right? For a couple $100, it is the best investment that anybody in our industry can make in terms of software. And I really want to stress to the folks who are listening who already own Bluebeam that you guys need to get into the Studio portion of this system and start seeing what it can do for you. Believe me, it will repay the time you spend learning it, and probably even the cost of all of your Bluebeam licenses on your very first project that you put into Studio. All right? So with that, folks, we are going to get out of here, and we will catch you next time on the CADDle Call podcast. All right, everybody, today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.